Welcome back to my channel, everyone. 3 tips here. We're going to repurify the gold buttons that we recovered from the stock pot. We're going to melt this up into a button, send it off to have it analyzed. But first, I've been getting questions about refining on my eBay messaging system. Please do not ask questions about refining or where to get material through my eBay messaging system. If you ask those questions, I have to delete them. I cannot answer them. I'm not trying to be rude or inconsiderate. It's just that eBay is very strict about general information exchange on their messaging system. If you have questions, please ask them in the comments section of the videos. I read every comment on every video and I try to answer all those questions. So the best place to ask questions and get an answer from me is through the comments section on the videos. One of the questions I've been getting is, what is the source of the cement silver for my refining for my silver cell? We're going to address that in this video. Here's the 2 gold buttons that we recovered from the stock pot. I've got 13.9 grams, and I've recorded that here. I want 1 part gold and 3 parts sterling silver. So I multiply the amount of gold I have by 3. I get 41.7 grams of sterling silver that I need to inquart these gold buttons. I reduce it by this amount, and this is what I've calculated that I need in order to properly inquart those gold buttons. And I've pre-measured some sterling here. Let's add it to this dish. And we've got 39.7. I calculated 39.6. This is close enough. Now let's go out and we'll inquart these gold buttons with sterling silver. Here's our inquarted gold. If you look in there, it's got some highly unusual shapes that formed when we poured that in the water. Kind of neat looking. I've never seen it do that before. But what we're going to do now is add some distilled water to this. Distilled water. And we're going to put this up on the heat and start heating this up. Now what I'll do is add some nitric acid, and we'll start pulling the silver, base metals, and the platinum group metals that are in there out with these nitric acid boils. This will be nitric acid boil number 1. This is my silver jar. This is where the cement silver comes from. It's full of sterling silver in here. And what I'll do is I'll pour off the nitric boil. It's going to have silver in it too. We'll pour that into here. And then I let it react with the silver that's in this silver jar. And what I do is I pour it through this filter. I just filtered that out of here. All this liquid was in here, and I poured it through this filter. There's going to be precious metals in that residue that's in that filter. So I'll save that in with my paper storage. So now what we'll do is I'll move this out of the way, and we'll bring up the silver jar over here, and we'll add the silver from this nitric acid boil into our silver jar, because we want to save this silver. Notice that it reacts with the silver in there because there's plenty of extra nitric acid in this liquid that I'm pouring off. And that's why I have it full of silver, so that we can consume that excess nitric. This is almost done. It's such a small quantity of gold. We've almost got it completely parted with these nitric boils. Now I'll add some water to this. Put it back up on the heat. Cover this up. Let this react. I've got nitric acid here. I'm going to pour a little bit of this in. Do our second nitric acid boil to remove any remaining precious metals, such as platinum group metals or silver, that still remains in our encorded gold. This is nitric boil number 2. This is our third nitric boil, and you can see we've got a little bit of yellow color going on down in there. That means we probably put some of that gold in solution. That's okay. We're going to dump this into the silver jar. We'll get a big reaction here from this hot nitric acid. Here's what our gold looks like down in there after 3 hot dilute nitric acid boils. Now let's add some water to this. We're going to let this boil. A little bit of distilled water for a few minutes. Been boiling in distilled water for about 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and pour this water off now. With that beautiful looking pure gold in there. Very nice. And now let's go ahead and get set up to dissolve this gold in aqua regia. We're going to add about 100 milliliters of hydrochloric acid. Set it up here on the heat. Start heating that up. Now we'll add a few drops of sulfuric acid, just in case we got any lead in here. Shouldn't have, but doesn't hurt to add a little bit of sulfuric acid to precipitate out any lead. I'm adding some nitric acid now, and this will form aqua regia in here and start dissolving gold. Thinking about 6 milliliters should do the trick. I've evaporated the solution down to a syrup. Pretty safe to conclude that all the nitric has been expelled, rehydrating with hydrochloric acid. Now we'll pull this down off the heat and let it cool off. Now we're going to put some ice in here, cool this off a little bit. It's been allowed to cool to ambient temperature, but we're going to chill it even further with some ice. Now let's filter our solution. As you can see, there's definitely some trash that we got filtered out. Alrighty, the solution looks nice and clear. Let's transfer the solution into this clean beaker. I've rinsed it out and cleaned it out real well. Now we're going to precipitate to pure gold with sodium metabisulfite. Here we go. Let's add another spoon of SMB. That probably should be enough to get all of that gold to come out of solution. Shake it up a little. While I'm waiting for the gold to settle, I've got our mixed black platinum group metals here in this beaker. We're going to add this to a crucible. Now I'll cover it with some borax. This is plain borax. Now we're going to use an acetylene flame to melt the borax and melt our platinum group metals.
I've got the flame turned down very low so that I did not blow any of the powdered metal out of the crucible. Now that it's centered up, I'm going to go ahead and start increasing the flame.
Okay, it's starting to melt.
There we go. We're starting to form a bead now, a button. Okay, I've got the platinum formed into a button. I'm adding some borax here as it freezes. Now we're going to reach in here and get this out of here. Alright, it's stuck to the tweezers from the borax that was clinging to it.
Here's our button of platinum group metals that we just melted. Notice there's a little bit of red coloration on the bottom and that flux that's sticking to it. It's definitely going to be some rhodium. So I'm expecting some platinum, palladium, and a little bit of rhodium in here. 7.0 grams of platinum group metals melted into a little button. What I'll do is send this off to the big refiner. They've got an XRF, and we can have them analyze this, and we'll be able to tell how much metal and what kind is in this button, and we'll publish that in a separate video. I've been asked many times, where does the cement silver come from that we use in the silver cell? These are pieces of silver from candlestick holders like this. This is silverware, a silverware flatware set that's made out of sterling silver. We buy these at local sales, and I'm not really concerned about the price of it. I'm just buying it at whatever they're asking for it, because silver is grossly and artificially undervalued right now. This is sterling silver jewelry. This is the source of the material that I use for my electrolytic silver cell. We buy it at local sales. So I use this silver to inquart my gold. I alloy this sterling silver with my gold, and then we pull it out of the inquarted gold with nitric acid boils, and I add it to this silver jar here. It's full of silver right now, and I collect the dissolved silver in this silver jar from the gold refining, pulling the silver out with nitric acid boils, and I collect it in here. That additional sterling in here will consume any excess nitric that may be in this solution as I pour it off. Once I'm certain that all the excess nitric has been consumed, I pour it into a filter. I filter out the solids from this solution. Those solids could contain precious metals, so I'll add the filter to my paper storage, and we get this liquid right here. This is silver nitrate and some copper nitrate, and this particular solution is green colored, so we probably got some platinum group metals or gold in here as well. I add this solution to a beaker full of copper or a container full of copper, and the silver cements out onto the copper and looks like this. This is my cement silver. Then I collect the cement silver, rinse all the blue liquid off of it, and I store it in this bucket. This is all cement silver. Then I get my big furnace out and I melt the cement silver into granules like this. And then we run these granules through the electrolytic silver cell and create high purity elemental silver crystal from in the silver cell. So that is where my impure cement silver comes from. It starts out as sterling silver that we buy at local sales, and then I run it through this process right here and end up with high purity silver crystal. The gold has been allowed to settle completely. Nice clear liquid on top of it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pour this waste solution off and then rinse it over and over with some distilled water and hydrochloric acid. And now what we'll do is add some hydrochloric acid. And we'll set this up on the heat and boil it in some hydrochloric acid. The gold has been boiling in hydrochloric acid for about 10 minutes. Now what we're going to do is pull it down off this heat. Pour this off into our waste container. And here's what the gold looks like now that we've completed the hydrochloric acid boil. Now let's get our gold down into a melt dish. Take this over to the melt table. I'm going to melt this up a little bar here. Here's our final product for this video. That's a high purity, beautiful, glossy, shiny, pure gold bar. We started out with 13.9 grams. And we end up with 13.6. So, very nice. Came out really, really nice for that single refining that we did in this video. Plus, we've got our bead button of platinum group metals. And what we'll do is we'll send that in and get an analysis on this. And then we'll publish the results of that analysis of this button in a separate video. All right, this will conclude the video. Thank you for watching.